Time is numb, the Keurig's clean. Your dog is dead, it's a Ponzi screen. Ponzi screen, because it's just something to do.
Happy holidays, by the way.
Happy Easter, Danny. Happy
No, not Easter,
420.
Daylight savings time.
Daylight savings time.
It's best holiday of the year, hands down. Love it.
I love this succession of holidays where it's like Mardi Gras, daylight savings, Easter, 420. You know, this is the real holiday season right here.
Yeah.
Arbor Day and Earth Day are somewhere squeezed in there, I think.
No, they're in the
Earth Day.
Are they?
Earth Day is right around now, but
Earth Day is in the spring.
Yeah.
Arbor Day, I feel like, is in the fall.
It's
I want to say
autumn is an arboreal holiday season. It's an like.
Oh, David, you are fucking right. Arbor Day is celebrated on March 21st.
Oh,
nice.
Whoa.
And Earth Day is
April 1st.
April 1st. And May Day. May Day's a good one.
May Day is a good one, and they're all
May Day's great.
Every single one of them are Catholic holidays.
Yes. Yeah.
Hitler's birthday, Catholic holiday.
Dude, straight up, to all the spring heads out there, you know,
dude,
I used to be. I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. I love summer. I'm a big fan of summer. It's a great time for me. But truly, I can't get over. I love spring. Spring is a fantastic time. Spring's fantastic. It's a really beautiful temperature. It starts getting lighter, so like the sun stays out until like 7 p.m. That's crazy. You know, like it's so nice. I love it.
Yeah. Spring is a time for decay and reflection on the end times. Spring, I think of the spring as kind of like a middle-aged kind of season, you know?
No, that's autumn. That's fall. So clearly fall. So clearly. What are you, a fall head?
Why does autumn have two names? Why doesn't summer have another name? Like
hot days.
hot days. Yeah, I don't know. Something. And then winter doesn't have one either. Winter could be like I don't know. The piercing agony.
Dark time. Well, the solstice. There's a summer solstice. Wait. Okay, this really just begs the question, David. What is your favorite season?
I like winter. I like winter.
Oh, this totally checks out. Of course, you fucking David being a winter apologist when spring, summer, and fall are right. Of course.
Okay, so I like different places that I've lived. I like different seasons. I don't like. I like summer in Minnesota because it's objectively the best one.
Sure.
Spring in Kansas City because it's nice. Autumn in New York, I think, is the best. I think fall is the best for New York because the weather's good. Everyone looks good in sweaters in New York or light jackets, and it's not too wet, and it's not too humid, and it's not too cold. And those are all good, and it's not too windy. Those are all good things for New York City. And winter, I just like snow. I like the twinkliness of things. I like putting on all your little things. I like putting on the things, you know, and you like go out and you're like going to face the world, and then you get to shovel, and you know, all that stuff is just kind of fun. It's like a ritual.
I mean, look, if there was no wind ever, maybe I could get behind that. But like fucking the wind chill always just blasts me into the past, man. I can't take it. The wind chill, I mean, look, I'm fine with it. I can deal with it now. I know how to layer and shit like that. But like it's like when you have wind chill, there is no wind chill in summer. It's just wind.
Wind is nice in the summer in New York.
Yeah. But in winter, it makes like a 32-degree day a 15-degree day. Like it's no good. It's no good. It's no good.
The wind tunnels in Manhattan are really aggressive, like the people. And
13th Street, terrible wind tunnel.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, I hadn't thought about that street like in particular, but now that you mention it, it's a really bad
Prince
one.
Prince Street and Broadway is the worst wind tunnel in all of New York.
And biking for you, which season's the best? Spring?
Spring is good. I can like really get along with spring. I like summer too. I mean, like I don't know. I'm just used. I don't like. I probably sweat like a normal amount, but like I just I like the heat. I like being out in the street. You know, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I get that. When you're biking in the summer, it's good because there's breeze, man, and that's a really nice thing. And you don't have to exert yourself too much. Like I actually really like the plodding, PLODDing of walking in the summer and the heat is like really heavy, and it's a nice thing that you don't have to worry about that when you're on a bicycle.
Yeah, people do it wrong, man. You gotta like don't put a lot of weight on your back, or if you wear a bag, you're asking for trouble because you'll just have sweat back.
Mm-hmm.
That's no good. And if you walk into an air conditioned room, it'll be freezing on your and your shirt touches your back. It'll just be like, I, I.
Yeah,
You know,
I really really don't like the discrepancy between the AC and the heat. Calm down, and that's like when that's like first week of school thing where like it's the first week of high school and you're coming back from summer break and all of a sudden you have to bring a sweatshirt to school because you're sitting indoors all day and they just have like the AC on blast. You know what I mean? It's just I can't deal with that shit, man. Anyways, welcome to Ponzi Scream, everyone. Hey, what's up? My name's David Bradley Eisenberg. We are here. We are having a nice time. We're here to talk about Mike Tyson. Actually, that's
yeah,
what it is.
The champ, convicted sex offender, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Was he convicted?
On March 26, 1992, Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in prison, along with 4 years of probation. Due to his conviction, Tyson is required to register as a Tier 2 sex offender. So he is.
He's had everyone. There's been this sort of weird sort of revitalization of Mike Tyson in the past couple years, and I always want to remind people that he is a monster. like he's not a great guy.
I don't remember anything about what he did or what he's famous for. Not a single thing. He has a very memorable tattoo, though, right here, like a little face.
Whoop! He's got the little C.
Yeah, it looks like this right around his eye, and everyone knows what it is. Everyone recognizes it, and he was in a movie, as we remember. There was a movie called The Hangover Part 2.
I was like, I knew it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were some interesting things about his tattoo in The Hangover Part 2. There were some people, it was a tattooist who sued the movie studio over replicating Mike Tyson's facial tattoo to other artists looking to gaming companies for compensation for reproduction of the tattoos. So basically, the original tattoo artist is trying to claim intellectual property rights over the tattoo that is on Mike Tyson's face.
Let's see what we look at this. Okay. I'm just checking out the tattoo again. What do we got here? It's bad. This is peak. It's funny because it does look like a tribal tattoo, but just sort of like on someone's face,
Yes. They basically he had some sort of agreement, right? Says all artwork, sketches, and drawings relating to my tattoo and any photographs of my tattoo are property of the tattoo artist. And they wanted to basically include the tattoo in some sort of part of the story. Now the guy is suing Warner Brothers, and they wanted to basically just get a cut. Okay, part of the argument was, he made this. This is his intellectual property, an original design, an original ugly design right here.
Mm-hmm.
The they ultimately looks like the lawyers for Mike Tyson made a really interesting argument that basically they said you need to either give me a cut of his performance effectively in the movie and your ability to show my art in your movie, okay, or license it out, or I'm going to forbid you from making this movie. His lawyers made the argument that you don't own Mike Tyson's skin, and your argument is a violation of the 13th Amendment.
Wait, you mean that
The
amendment?
slavery amendment.
That one?
Amendment.
Oh my God. Oh, side note, Mike Tyson has a Che Guevara tattoo as well.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. It's right below his left pectoral. It's really funny.
Yeah. Absolutely. So basically they're saying there's no separation, okay, from his skin as a conceptual matter, okay? And there's basically they were kind of comparing it to like the prohibition of badges of slavery, and so like using the Copyright Act would that's kind of a different thing, but basically they're saying that you telling Mike Tyson what he can and cannot do with his body would effectively say that you own a portion of Mike Tyson. Because then Mike Tyson could not make any film appearances. He could, without paying this guy, he could not make any visual representation of him. He would have to give and Mike Tyson sells his image and his persona for a living. And the guy would get a cut of everything ad infinitum because he had this very visible face tattoo of this guy.
So yeah, and it's like more like heated because Mike Tyson is black, but like theoretically somebody could do the same thing with a white person and they'd be like, no, that's what I'm trying to get through my head right now is like, would this work if Mike Tyson were white? Like,
yeah, it would. I mean, I think
okay.
that it certainly like adds to the gravitas of the argument because he's black, right? But like, it is more just the conceptual argument of like owning someone's body, right? Like, I mean, there's certainly occasions where you are a piece of talent, right? You are a social media star, or like you're a musician or whatever, and your agent gets a cut of all of the work that you do, right? And there's contracts that sign says, hey, any appearance on TV that makes you money, any sort of piece of art that you make, regardless of whether I had any stakes in it, involvement in it, I'm getting a cut for the next 10 years. Very common thing to do, okay? But this is a physical piece of someone, not someone's talent, okay? And there's another thing in the law, which is you can never compel someone to do something under the law. So there's this, this is something that we talked about in my contracts class, which is like, Taylor Swift is going to do a concert and all of a sudden it rains or COVID happens, and they want to move the date to a year from now. But Taylor Swift says, no, I can't because the album was called, April 2020, and I just won't do it. I'm not going to do it. No one in no court of law can compel Taylor Swift to do that concert. So they're going to figure out all the damages, and they'll commodify it in some other way and break out. Taylor might have to pay a bunch of money, but there is nothing that can force somebody to do a concert ever, because then you would have to be like, okay, well, Taylor goes in there and she plods around and half-asses the show and totally screws it up, and there's no, and then they'll be like, I want my money back. You did a bad performance, because you can never really get that. And there's just some kind of principles of just no, you can't force someone to do a show. And same thing with a business. Actually, you can never force somebody to stay in business. So if you're having a labor dispute, a company can never be forced to remain open. They can always just close up shop if they are
Interesting.
If this is too expensive. They can. There's no legal right of someone to require them to stay open, you know. And Mike Tyson, the example, is kind of the negative equivalent of that in some ways. And this argument, I don't think was fully. I think they just settled out of court, but they, from what I read about it and what I remember about it, is that Mike Tyson wanted to be able to do The Hangover Part 2 and all the derivative artworks thereof, you know, the video game or whatever, and have his likeness, have the tattoo's likeness in those things. And basically, this tattoo artist was saying, I own your skin.
Yeah, or some version of it. Yeah, follow up, he also has a tattoo of Mao Zedong. So this is, I don't know what's happening with this guy.
Yeah, dirtbag left right here. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
It's like shitty face tattoos and a bunch of communist heroes. I mean, what else is there? But like, I what's interesting about it is because it's kind of what we're talking about today, which is not those specific things, but it's about an article that Taylor Lorenz wrote in the Times, and it's kind of just starting to be covered elsewhere. And it's about some of these more esoteric social media apps for influencers. Okay?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The article is, for creators, everything is for sale. Okay? So this is taking those concepts to a completely next level and effectively financializing those stakes. Okay? And while we're at it, though, I want you to, Danny, first tell us a little bit about, actually, I want to jump around from what we originally said. Tell me a little bit about this guy, Mike Merrill.
Yeah, well, just for the listeners out there, a little bit of a little behind the scenes peek, behind the curtain, some might even say. David was letting me know about this concept of basically like influencers being like selling elements of their routine or their life.
We'll get to that in a sec. We're going to get to like what's going on with it now. Tell me a little bit about this guy.
Yeah, well, about a decade ago, a friend of a friend was like, "Oh yeah, my friend Mike is like selling shares of himself." And at the time, I was just sort of like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But it was true. This guy, Mike Merrill, he was living in Portland at the time. I don't know where he's living now, but like he had sold, I believe, 1,000 shares of himself for $1 each. And if you were a
Real
shareholder, I know, if you were 1,000, if you had a share of Mike, you had I suppose what you could call a shareholder's voting right over certain elements of his life, and not even just like small things, like quite major decisions. Like there's a very interesting looking little diagram here where he like has a couple, it looks like, I don't know, I haven't looked at like quarterly stock earnings or something like that, but it kind of looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it shows like rejected, approved. So and the question is, vasectomy, 45% say yes, 54% say no, so that was rejected. Winter mustache, 45% say yes, 54% say no. Attempt polyphasic sleeping schedule, 63% say yes, no, 36% say no. So like, and that was approved. So like, yeah, like people like, it just influenced his life.
And did he do these things?
Yeah, he did do these things.
So he did the polyphasic sleep schedule. He registered as a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
He got a vegetarian diet, and like how shareholder stakes work is not one person, one vote. It's one share, one vote. So if you own a bunch of shares, your vote means more.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it feels weird. Like, this is a really interesting little piece of this article as well. This came out in 2017, by the way, so this is like 4 years ago at this point. Quote, we've all been in a situation where your friend starts dating someone and you're super opposed to it but can't really say anything, says Merrill. Friends can't really give you objective advice, but shareholders? Maybe. So Merrill went on a variety of dates, updating investors via a private forum at each juncture and ceding to their feedback. Merrill soon fell for a 28-year-old assistant, blah, blah, blah. After securing his shareholders' approval, he offered her a 3-month relationship contract. Which is, I mean,
that's the only way that I can really move forward in a relationship.
I mean, oh, wow. And then look at this. In the span of a month, Merrill's shareholders quadrupled from 120 to 500. Overnight, his share price skyrocketed from $18, giving him a 1.2 million market cap. This is
all in like 2013 and stuff.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. Also, we're probably worth mentioning that Mike is a fairly normal looking person. He's not insane. He's not like an esoteric. He's wearing a suit and all these things. He looks like a Wall Street guy, but who lives in the Pacific Northwest. It's not crazy. And also, again, worth noting that I met him several times when I lived in Portland.
Like?
He was normal. Normal enough?
Was it like when you would interact with him? Did it seem like he was distracted or concerned about whether something he was doing was a violation of his shareholders' wishes?
I don't remember it in that intense detail, but like it didn't pop out.
Right.
Like it wasn't like it didn't seem like a crazy thing, you know?
Right.
But I mean, again, this is a couple years ago and probably a little bit before we were quite as inundated with the influencer culture, and it was still wildly weird, very strange. I think only cushioned by the fact that he was living in Portland at the time, and that is just like, okay, some Portland guys being goofy,
some Portland
whatever.
shit.
Yeah, so, some Portland shit's happening, so take it with a grain of salt.
I mean, this is like the classic like bridge from, weird urbanite to like fully commodified techno capitalist. Right.
Yes.
Like this is
absolutely.
Like it's like I'm turning like my unicycle hobby into a Ponzi scheme, or whatever. Like this is kind of like that movement. And now where we're at, it looks like as of this year, okay, there are now 50 million content creators out there, people who make content on social media.
Take that, take that for what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so look, 46.7 million of them are amateurs. This is just what they do.
Sure.
But 2 million of them are, quote, professional creators, okay? The biggest apps are YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, okay? And then there's a bunch of other ones. But this is all from Signalfire. This is I think, a VC firm that kind of did this. But looking at the market, okay, this is one of the fastest growing sectors of the economy, according to this study, okay, of people who are on YouTube. If you're a professional, there are about 1 million YouTube professional content creators, 500,000 Instagram content creators, and about 300,000 TikTok creators. The amateurs, most of the amateurs are on Instagram, and then about 30 million, and then 12 million of the amateurs are on YouTube. But a huge amount of them are kind of there. They're making their money in the way that you would imagine they are, right? They're making their money from sponsorships, sponsored content. They're making their money from promotions, subscriptions, all the kind of like ways that you would expect, Patreon and stuff like that. Subscribe to our Patreon. And, but one of the more recent phenomena that's happening is the creation of some of new forms of engagement with your content creator, with your influencer. And we've seen this in another sector with Cameo. If you know what Cameo is, you pay a celebrity or a minor celebrity money, and they'll send a birthday message to someone or something like that.
David, let's be completely honest here. We're talking about best case scenario, mostly like C-listers.
Right. Totally. It is.
Best case scenario is that you get who's the guy who plays Boston characters who's like, man, fuck
Michael
Trump.
Rappaport.
If you get Michael Rappaport to say happy birthday to your mom, that's like the best you're gonna get on Cameo.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Or like one of the lesser known housewives of New Jersey. Right?
Yes.
Like that's who you're really getting. But it's that's kind of one of these forms of engagement. Now you have basically this one called Pair Pop, which is Cameo for social media stars, and New. Okay, these are both apps that don't just have them wish you a happy birthday or say whatever message, go fuck yourself. I hope you never finish law school. Love Kathy Griffin. But like they don't say that.
No.
They'll say like they will do what your friend Mike did, which is they will do things for money. They will follow along, and they will break up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They will decide what to eat what to do for breakfast. They'll decide, and people are calling it like a real life choose your own adventure game. Okay. And there's this is a fascinating quote. This is from Jen Lee, the founder of a popular creator economy community on Discord. So it's happening on other platforms like Discord. Creators are burning out, but their fans want more and more. By monetizing each aspect of their life, they can extract value from everyday interactions. Okay? Then there's this
I wish you guys could see my face and David's face.
There's Courtney Smith, the founder and chief executive of New, said the company was similar to the stock market. You can buy shares, which are essentially votes, to be able to control a certain level of a person's life. So they're taking Mike's business model, and they are creating an entire app, an entire economy around this. And there's when you mentioned Mike, you passed along this article from The Hustle by Zach Crockett from 2017. And it talks about he has this interesting statement that really stood out to me, which is about insider trading that he was concerned about. With a mix of strangers and friends, his original investors, Merrill realized he had to mitigate the possibility of, quote, insider trading. His buddies, who he hung out with on a daily basis, knew more about his life than other investors. To compensate, he began publicly posting more updates and information about his life. So, concerned about insider trading, concerned about market manipulation, concerned about not having insufficient disclosures to shareholders. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, what's fascinating about this is opening up every single decision in your life, every single personal history, every single psychological neuroses, every single minor and discrete discomfort or comfort, every single predilection to a potentially being a material piece of information for a shareholder to decide whether your value is going to go up or not. To decide whether your stock price is going up or not based off of how interesting or popular you are. Okay? People could get into lawsuits over failing to disclose the fact that they, were anorexic in middle school, and that was a piece of material information that needed to be disclosed to the shareholders so that they could decide whether you should get lunch with your friend from middle school who knew about it.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's just, it makes a thing like OnlyFans just feel awesome. Because, like, that's a situation where it's like, look, if someone wants to, beat off on camera and then you're like, I want to pay for that. It's like, lovely.
Game, done and
Yeah.
sold. This is like
done and done. Yeah, exactly.
it's a virtual lap dance, right? Like this is like a set thing. What's different about having like the relationship between a shareholder and the relationship between a consumer is agency over what the creator does, because the shareholder owns the person, effectively owns the money-making entity that is the person, that is the influencer. Okay, the consumer is just, hey, I'll buy a lap dance for you, and then they don't control what is being offered as a product. But the shareholder can say, go confront your friend from middle school about your anorexia problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is essentially doing is kind of like what you were saying. Really, it's like setting groundwork for messy, undefined lawsuits and like all those things where it's like you're like, oh yes, I want courts to be involved in like it's like this sort of minutia and stuff like that is like really hard to define in some cases, and it's just setting people up for this situation. I mean, like maybe these apps have a slightly higher tolerance, in their terms of services, but like I mean it's just there's just such a massive blind spot with this, where all it takes is like one overly litigious, person who is just like, you didn't do this, to like really fuck up somebody's life in some way. And because people are they want their agency, so like you have to ask the question is like, where does it reach the point where someone is just sort of like, no, I'm not doing this, and then boom.
I mean, as soon as you get these could make a lot of money, right? Like this is not nothing. Okay, you get one mutual fund, one institutional investor, some private equity firm to invest in these YouTube stars. Okay, they have an expected return. There are quarterly reports that you have to send them. This is not a laughing matter. And the thing about New is it is said it's creating a stock exchange for influencers. Okay, there's another one that is called Rally.io. Okay, this is where that allows creators to start their own cryptocurrencies to build independent economies with their fans. Okay, people are getting into sophisticated financial instruments and sophisticated financial products with their bodies, with their personalities, with their intimate day-to-day decisions. This is not a joking matter. This is not something that is easily flippant, make a quick buck off of whether to make pancakes or bagels or whatever. Like, people with money can get in there and ruin your life. And there is there is a compelling argument that they can force you to do that, that they can force you to do that. And by commodifying that experience, there is not, I don't know. I mean, not everything that a shareholder says you have to do, right? But if you're not giving them a return on their investment, they'll sue you.
This is, you know what? I just thought of an analogy that's close to this, or a comparison rather. This is basically just this is K-pop. This is what K-pop already is.
Okay.
Because think about it. You have Korean pop, a wildly popular musical genre that is essentially a neo boy band situation,
right.
where you have these
pretty good tunes.
Good tunes, all right tunes. It's pop music, you know, and you have these, personalities essentially, where you have these highly, 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 highly stylized individuals, these young Korean men, essentially, that have to look a certain way, have to, act a certain way, have to have their hair a certain way, everything like that. Their lives are micromanaged, very much so. There's been stories about how like they're not allowed to date certain people,
Right,
or
right.
all this kind of stuff, and they have this sort of like a facade of just sort of like, hey, I'm doing all right, but then a lot of them like kill themselves. Like like they have their lives micromanaged to the point where they are essentially acting like they are a commodity. And if that commodity starts failing, like they're out of there.
Right.
They get rid of them. They put another one in there. And like these people don't do well. They don't do well
Right.
after their lives have basically been affected. I mean, like
I think about like the Britney Spears documentary that was popular about a month ago.
Yeah.
I mean the conservatorship, effectively, this is doing an IPO for Britney Spears' dad, because Britney Spears' dad controls every aspect of what Britney Spears can do. He determines what shows she's going to play. He can determine what she's going to have for all of her meals, how much time she spends with her family. He has a legal control as a conservator over her. Okay, this is people buying into willingly those relationships with publicly traded shareholders, who right now are fans, right? But this is not going away. This sector is growing. Portfolios need diversity, and there will be financial power players who will get into this and can do some real harm here. Another thing that they're doing, which is they're creating these things called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Okay, a non-fungible token. Danny, can you explain what a non-fungible token is?
An NFT is basically using the blockchain to verify a piece of, in this case, a digital art, as it would be. So instead of being like, hey, David, I'm going to paint you a picture of your cat, and it's going to be this like physical object that is verifiable because you can, like hold it in your hand, and it's a one of one, essentially.
Right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a picture on Adobe Illustrator and send it over to you. But it will only be verifiable by going through the technology that is blockchain technology, which is the same technology that powers Bitcoin, Dogecoin, all the cryptocurrencies, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the way it'll be verifiable, and that people will know that it is in fact a one of one piece for you, and not just a screenshot.
Finally,
we're
automating art appraisers.
Yes,
and like through the blockchain, effectively, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that an NFT is oftentimes art, right? But it can be anything. An NFT is just a verifiable piece of property that is verified through the blockchain. Okay. An NFT is, the article talks about how someone was buying shares of a viral YouTube video and getting shares of the ad revenue that was coming from that YouTube video and selling those shares as NFTs. Okay. And that's a security, right? And they're just already running into issues with the SEC, saying, you can't guarantee revenue as part of your ownership. The video could go bad. It might not be successful. So you can't make these sort of promises that this is automatically going to be successful. So you're getting like marketing issues already with these securities. And I mean, an NFT is, I can't really think of it otherwise as just a piece of technology to verify that something is an authentic, unique, or authentic, like discrete piece of property.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I don't know if that is something that is like the scariest thing about it, other than that it is creating the tool that is allowing for the complete commodification of any digital item, anything that exists on the internet. You can make an NFT about it, and then you know that that's the original Charlie Bit My Finger video.
Yeah, it's really strange for two reasons, or two additional reasons that I was thinking of. One is the fact that we're not talking about physical items. We're talking about digital things in this case,
Or digital
So-
acts. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to the store.
Yeah. We're so, say what you will, but like, I mean, you can think about digital stuff is based off of the concept of electricity. So if electricity stops being electricity, if you will, or if you are unable to, verify it in that way, say somebody like fucking like, what's that thing where you like put a bomb that doesn't explode, but an electromagnetic pulse. Somebody EMPs a giant like power station or whatever. All of a sudden, that digital thing doesn't become a digital thing anymore. It might be somewhere else, but like doesn't matter to you because you can't see it, so it doesn't matter. And then there's, of course, that's a much more esoteric issue that I'm talking about. But the main issue that everybody is talking about is the problem that has arisen because of blockchain, which is that it is incredibly environmentally demanding, essentially. That every time you make something like this, you tell a computer, solve a very complex math equation to verify this. But in order to do that, you don't just need one computer. You need many, many computers to do it. And in order to do that, you have to have them all linked up together, working together. And when computers do that, they generate heat. And in order to make it so they don't catch on fire, they need to be constantly air conditioned, constantly upkept. And last time I checked, that took electricity.
Right.
It is a huge deal. It's a huge problem. It's why cloud servers that companies like Amazon and Google and Apple use are often located in places like the Dalles, Oregon, which is a part of Oregon about 20-30 miles outside of Portland that literally looks like Middle Earth because it never gets above 40 degrees there, and it has a naturally aspirating server farm. So instead of having to have air conditioners on, they can literally open the windows and those will cool these servers. That's how big of a deal and how big of an electricity suck these things are.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the use to be able to create new digital currencies to be able to sell just in your little marketplace of influencers. So you're just going to have, the Danny Feltz YouTube channel, and you can become a stakeholder on the Danny Feltz YouTube channel on Nunu, but we are only selling Danny Feltz coins, and you can buy them through there, and we'll have an IPO there, and you can trade it through that. And so ultimately, you're going to be creating an entire publicly traded like securities apparatus using a commodity effectively, because these things aren't currencies. Cryptocurrencies are not currencies because there's no distribution capability that it has, like the dollar.
Yes.
Right. Like
if people will remember, things can either be a commodity, a currency, or what was the third one?
Security.
A security. Yeah.
So it's basically you're using a cryptocurrency as a security in this sense, because it's conveying ownership in a business endeavor. Okay, that is what makes it a security, but it's using these totally ludicrous cryptocurrency tokens in order to convey that, which is environmentally wasteful and kind of unnecessary, but you need it to verify your ownership in Danny's YouTube video of him taking a dump while singing a Claire de Lune. And that you need your, like, you have to have the Danny Feltz coin in order to verify your NFT ownership in that video. And you're going to report these sorts of things to Danny. You're going to have to report the value of your Danny Feltz token. You're going to have to report the earnings per share of your YouTube video. I mean, you will need in 5 years, if this matures, all of these content creators are going to it will create a separate securities regulatory infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise, you're going to run into all the same problems that you were going to get in any other securities marketplace: insider trading, Ponzi schemes. You're going to market manipulation and fraud, conflicts of interest, money laundering. Okay, all of these sorts of big bad things that happen every day on Wall Street. Okay, it is the wild, wild west of fintech social media superstardom and commodifying those things. I mean, mixing these things is much, much more dangerous than people probably realize. The idea of doing money laundering through someone deciding whether they're going to break up with their boyfriend or not, you can money launder your securities through that. I mean, the amount of financial complexity that has been done and already exists on Wall Street, where people are hungry for the next big frontier of where to financialize the whole world, and the amount of complexity applying that to people's everyday lives is maybe one of the scariest things I've read about in a very long time.
Yeah, people, it's laughable right now. It's a lark currently, but it's not. What David's saying is not unheard of by any means. Because, I mean, think about it. 8 years ago, let's just call it a clean decade. A decade ago, this is what people were saying about regular ass Bitcoin. People were talking about Bitcoin, and people were like, ha ha ha, it's so silly that you guys are doing this thing. You're paying for, your poutine at the food cart with a Bitcoin, ha ha ha, which is a thing that happened.
Yeah,
in Portland.
It was silly. There were 4 bodegas in Williamsburg that took Bitcoin, and it was a silly conversation piece.
Yeah. Meanwhile, fast forward 10 years, not only is Bitcoin literally regulated by the U.S. government now, it is it's a real thing, but it regularly spikes and dips and throws, has its own market volatility infrastructure where it'll have these massive, peaks where it'll just gain value immediately, and then 3 days later it'll lose half of its value, or something. And it's incredibly, millions of people are involved with it. It's the richest man in the world at the time, Elon Musk, is being buy Bitcoin. It's a real thing. So if it is not unless these things get sued out of existence, which there is a possibility of them getting.
Yeah.
There's a very real, you can't discount them. You have to consider what they could do, because they're the next iteration. They could be the next iteration of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And now you're looking at, there's another one that Taylor Lorenz talked about in her article, which was called Clout Market. Okay. And this one's very interesting because this one is basically you are buying trading cards of influencers, and the trading cards don't actually they don't own stakes in the individual person. Okay. Your value of the trading card is dependent on the kind of, for lack of a better word, on the derivative value of its upward growth or downward growth. And it's not that you own it, it's that you're gambling on it going up or gambling on it going down. And the degree in which that percent of change happens is where your value comes in, not on your underlying ownership. Does that make sense? And this is some calculus shit. Straight up.
Yeah.
And this is this is kind of the derivatives marketplace. So you talk about this sort of stuff. Like, you're getting into really complex financial products. You can just put it right there. It's getting complex. Sure. Okay?
Yeah.
You're trading off of the change of growth. You're making money off of the change in development of some K-pop, or not K-pop, just like some YouTube stars, TikTok stars, now stars decision on their financial, the stakeholders' growth in their securities, which is inherently based on the decision for whether they should call their dad a racial slur.
So, bye. Yeah.
Right?
You guys, I'm gonna do it.
Like, it's trading off of the trade. That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is like futures investing. These are all these sorts of kind of things that just get really into like complex private marketplaces that oftentimes usually have a lot of restrictions for normal people and are often usually done by what are called accredited investors, who have to have meet a certain criteria of wealth or income in order to be able to do it, or are like part of literally in a hedge fund to be able to do this sort of stuff. And I don't know what else to say about it other than that it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Excuse me. I would say keep your eye on it. It's certainly laughable. It's certainly a novelty kind of right now.
Right.
But like, it just
think about what happened with the Capitol riot thing that happened on January 6th. That was a wild event of misinformation where people were have bought into this QAnon delusion, and that was mostly motivated by the profit motive of social media companies propagating this myth, allowing it to fester and grow, and using the kind of the Donald Trump as like the social media vector for getting people to go do all the insane shit that they did, and some of it very, very scary that led to people dying and stuff like that. But instead of having just the social media company having a profit motive to do crazy shit, okay, to do something crazy, hashtag, you have the individual people saying, I have to participate in this whatever because I have a literal financial obligation to my shareholders to do it.
I mean, don't get it twisted. There's probably going to be a couple people who do put in some weird terms of services in there that are going to be 20, 30, 40 pages long, where in a portion of it, they're just going to be like, I actually do not have to do this thing.
Right.
But then you get into the question, but then there come the legal things.
Right.
It's where
right.
It's not like it's different from something like Con Edison or like Optimum, where they're ostensibly their service is providing electricity or internet, but of course they have a clause in there that says something to the point of you cannot sue us for a delay in or a non delivery.
They'll
of
contract
services.
out certain things that they'll say, I'm not going to do this if I really, really, really don't feel like it's ethically right. And anything that someone tells you to do something illegal is not enforceable. If someone tells you hey, I need you to kill this man for me, I need a hitman, that will not be an enforceable requirement by the corporation to do. Right? But there will be people who will skirt the boundary of that. And there will be people who are concerned about their bottom line and are really over leveraged, or their value is way, way down, and they need to do something to make a splash, or they just have to meet this one obligation before they can really turn the corner financially on something, and they'll skirt that law and they'll do something whatever one of these batshit crazy shareholders tell them to do. And I don't think it's going to be something like murder, but it could be hey, I need you to pick up this package at the airport and move it over to another part of the airport. and that's someone's you could just get someone to go do that, or like I don't know.
Mhm.
There's just all sorts of weird little acts that you could have someone do that they might not even realize that they're engaging in some sort of other illegal activity.
Oh yeah, I mean, Lord, I mean, I haven't done it because I've never found myself in that position before. But it's like I've definitely heard of situations, even just do it with people doing like delivery apps and what have you, where it's like they're like, oh, pick up this Chinese food from this restaurant and then deliver it to this person, and it's like not Chinese food, like it's clearly something else. And in like a situation, and like you don't even, but that person doesn't know that, and they just take the box, and like they just inadvertently became like a drug dealer,
And those people are technically independent contractors.
Yeah.
You're an independent contractor. You own your own little business that's doing this for you, and actually, that's actually a really interesting analog of like the delivery driver independent contractor, the Uber driver independent contractor to these social media stars, because an independent contractor is in theory like a private small business owner. Okay.
Yes.
This is kind of like if you took the independent contractors of the Uber drivers and the DoorDash people, Caviar people, and you had an IPO for their company.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like it's not just that you are like seeking customers to do stuff. You also have obligations to your shareholders to make sure that actually, I know you're tired, but your shareholders need you to make 20 deliveries today.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could just like it's like you could double yourself of being like, yeah, actually you can't just it's not just that Uber wants you to keep going. It's not just that your customers want you to keep going or the restaurant wants you to keep going, but now you have shareholders that you're accountable to. And if you don't do that, you could subject yourself to some serious litigation, into like a serious like shareholder lawsuit. If you have a mutual fund, like a retirement plan that's investing in Danny Feltz Incorporated, okay?
So honored. So honored.
You could
Thank you.
like in some real trouble and like ruin someone's retirement plan in Nebraska because their BlackRock retirement plan invested part of their money in you, and that was a bad investment. All of a sudden BlackRock is getting sued and they're gonna try and bring you in because you didn't do your job well enough. I don't know. I mean, it's a brave new world, Danny. It's a brave new world. I don't know.
We'll see. It's like many of our stories. It's one of those things where you really just have to keep your eyes on it. See where it goes.
Yeah.
See where it goes. See what the SEC has to say about it eventually.
I would imagine that they'll let it go and then something bad's going to happen and then they'll retroactively like cut some small parts out to make it like very discreetly, those very bad things discreetly illegal. I mean, this kind of how most regulators are like reactive, and
very much so.
As soon as something bad happens, they'll make that bad thing illegal, but then another bad thing will happen and they'll make that bad thing illegal. Or they'll restrict it to prevent the worst things of it from happening because the money's too good. I don't know. But anyway,
I don't know.
But
yeah.
This Ponzi scream is, we're taking some news for the listeners. We are taking a bit of a hiatus. We are going to take a little bit of a break from the show.
Sabbatical.
A sabbatical, if you will. I have some writing I want to do. I want to work on that. And Danny also has some work to do. We're going to take some time to do some work. And we're going to keep a lookout when stuff comes up. It's going to, that needs to come up, or if there's someone we really want to talk to in some sort of a way, we'll come back. But the weeklies are taking a little hiatus until, I don't know, Danny, late end of this year, early next year, maybe something like that. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Depends how fast or slow David wants to write whatever he wants to write. We'll have to figure it out. I don't have any ideas yet, dear listener, but I would say that much in the same vein that other podcasts will occasionally have a sort of side mission style episode that is non-related, a bonus, if you will, to the main thing, I will probably also have versions of those come out periodically. All those things, and technology things for that matter. And I always have something to say about those things, and obviously things like Uber and Caviar and all those, and Lyft and all those things. Constant things are always happening with them, and if I get the opportunity to talk to somebody about those issues, I will definitely bring them on. I can't say it's going to be a consistent thing because I don't have anybody to talk to yet, but it's something that is near and dear to my soul as well.
I think that this topic was a really good last topic for before we go on this break, because it crosses over into our interests so nicely, which is both of us are alleged content creators. I allegedly like to talk about finance. You allegedly like to talk about technology, and that's it, man. That's the meta wrap on that episode, and on the Ponzi screen for now.
And if you really wanna, folks, if you really want to extrapolate this, I got a good Russ Limbaugh looking position going on right now. If you wanna really extrapolate this to a moralistic standpoint, consider what your content, quote unquote, content creators make for you. What standards and practices they're held up to. You guys expect, and I'm not even gonna blame anybody. I'm not gonna blame anyone. All right. There's been a pattern where people have been held to a certain standard where they're like, I expect something from somebody every week or every 3 days or every whatever. But you know what? Disengage that from your mind, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stuff comes up randomly and with like spurts of inspiration. All right. That you ever been on a YouTube channel and you clearly see a YouTube person fucking phoning it in because they're not done with the other thing, but they're like, I made a new post. I'm making something. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. All right. Shit comes out randomly sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a periodical reporting on stuff and you don't have anything to say, then don't make that terrible video where you're like, just doing a little shop updates for you guy. Like that's not content. That's vapid and it's empty. All right.
And don't invest in a mortgage hoping that your content will go viral. Anyways, that's all I got right now. My name's David. This has been Ponzi Scream.
My name is also David, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
We'll see ya. Bye bye.